Hello and welcome to the Freedom Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Kaya, energy healer, psychic channel, and spiritual mentor for women who are ready to ditch the spiritual rulebook, release the pressure and overwhelm, and let go of all that comparison that makes you feel like what you're doing isn't enough. In this podcast, I'm going to share bits of my journey with you, as well as my wisdom and knowledge to show you that spirituality gets to be something that works for you and not something that you work for. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello. Welcome back to another episode. I am cozy in my bed. I actually am always recording this podcast from my bed. It's just like the one room in my house where I can go and be secluded and record and just be cozy. And I also feel like I don't really use like a, professional podcast microphone or anything like that. I recently got like just a small one. And I have this theory that because I'm in my bed, then, the echoes are absorbed a little and I might sound a little better. But at the same time, my top concern is not the sound quality of this podcast. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, regardless of the quality of the sound. So I'm cozy in bed. I am drinking my tea. It's like a rainy, overcast day here, like freezing cold outside. Like it's probably ice, honestly. And I'm just in my own energy this weekend. It's Saturday when I'm recording this. And this past week, I have taken a bit of a step. I don't want to say away or back or anything, but I've taken, I guess, the week to just be with myself and to just be in my own energy. And there's lots of things coming up. I think after the full moon we just experienced, I had such a huge release with that full moon. And then I just felt like having some quiet time this week. And if you're familiar with human design, I am a 6-2 profile, and that 2 part is called the Hermit. So there is times where I love to hermit. I love to be a hermit. I love to have me time. And sometimes this is just, an hour of like creation mode, and like the hermit can show up in different ways for different people. And I'm not a human design expert, but sometimes this shows up for me as just needing to take a beat, like needing a week or so where I kind of just let things flow in my business. Like if I have some content created, I put that out. And if I don't, then I don't. I just show up how it feels good for me, and I try not to force anything. And I show up obviously for my clients still in the membership and in the program I'm running right now. And just being present for the clients who are in my world behind the scenes. But sometimes I just feel like this hermit energy of not wanting to be forward facing, especially on social media. Like I feel like every now and then, like having a social media based marketing platform for my business, as much as I love it, there are times where it can get a bit exhausting, right? So of course, this isn't going to turn into like a business conversation. There's many layers of things we can do to, keep things up and running while we're in hermit mode. But ultimately at the same time, what we have to do is honor our own energy. And I really just wanted to speak to that in today's episode and really just share what this last week has been for me. And I don't really have like an agenda for this episode. And I just wanted it to be kind of like the raw behind the scenes of my life and, how I navigate things and the way that I show up in my life and business when things are feeling a little more hermity for me. So maybe you resonate with this. I know a few people I was talking to this week in like the last week of November, if you're listening later, we're also feeling this energy. Like the full moon was just so powerful. It was so draining. And then as we, are in the full moon to the new moon phase, like that last quarter is like, it's very draining. It's like, the water swirling down the drain after you close it off, and so, yeah, I'm just definitely feeling that energy of letting the big release that occurred for me over the full moon drain away. And I also held some energy healing sessions at the end of the week prior, and a really big release ceremony for the full moon for the girls inside my program, Mirror Mirror. And it was a huge release for everyone inside that container. And as the healer and as a facilitator, that is also something that's it can be sometimes energetically draining for me to facilitate. Like, I set up obviously a lot of protection for myself when I do this work, but it is also an experience for me as well when I do healing, when I hold ceremonies for people and holding that space. And it is big energetically. So I really have to make sure that I'm also holding the space for myself and my own energy, and keeping my energy clean and keeping my energy protected and nourished so that I can show up fully for my clients as well. Sorry, I'm like choking on like a chickpea I ate earlier, like right before this. I ate like little dried chickpeas. Um, anyway, so yeah, what I really wanted to speak to is what this looked like for me behind the scenes, because I did have a couple people reaching out on Instagram like, hey, are you okay? Like, you haven't been posting this week, because I am usually very consistent with, showing up daily on social media and like posting on my feed a few times a week. And yes, I'm okay. Everything's okay. There's nothing happened in my life. It was just a week where I wanted to turn inward. And so during this time, it's really important that we are honoring our energy in that when we feel like we want to kind of hermit a little. And in this as well, I know for myself that this has been a pattern for me in the past that has been somewhat toxic. Like, I can lean into this hermit energy and use it in the shadowy way. And so this is why it's really important for us to be aware of our own patterns, our own forms of self-sabotage, so that we are aware whether, a time like a hermity week is coming from a shadowy place, or it's coming from, just a genuine need to take a beat and, receive wisdom that's coming through that might not have otherwise come through if there wasn't that space. And so that was something that I navigated after I noticed that, a couple days had gone by where I felt kind of not introverted, like introspective. And I had to, check in with myself and say, okay, I know this is a pattern for me. I know that in the past I have self-sabotaged this way where, things are going great and like business is great and like life's great and I'm feeling amazing and, everything's working out. And then I kind of just shut down. Like, there's a self-sabotage where I think like, oh my gosh, this is too big. And I won't dive too deep into this topic. We do dive into self-sabotage and mirror. So if you're interested in learning more about becoming aware of your own patterns and being able to catch yourself in this kind of thing and how self-sabotage comes into play and how to work with it, I will drop the link for Mirror the next round in February for you below. There's still time to sneak in at the very like pre sale extended payment plan price, which is absolutely ridiculous, but the price will be increasing soon. So if you listen to this after the beginning to mid of December, the price might have increased by then. So if you're wanting to dive more into that, I'll pop it in the show notes. You can check it out. There's more on the info page. I won't go into it right now. So anyway, yeah, I had to really check in with myself around like, okay, like, is this a self-sabotage pattern? What is my intention with having, like, if I decided like, yeah, this week's going to be a hermit week, like, what's my intention here, right? Am I doing this from a place of like, everything's getting too overwhelming, like my nervous system's expanding and it feels unsafe and I'm just going to shut down and like watch Netflix all week kind of thing. And I also wanted to be intentional too about that, like about like, okay, if I'm going to have a hermit week, like what am I filling my time with? Is it going to be just Netflix or is it going to be something productive? And not that we have to be productive at all times, but I wanted to be aware of like if it was a pattern where I was just shutting down and numbing out, or if it was going to be a time where I'm pulling back and being introspective and reflecting and coming out the other side of it with progress, with growth. And so I really felt into that, and I did feel like it was a time when I needed to be reflecting, and it wasn't from a place from a pattern, which turned out to be true as well. So in this week, then I really focused on, okay, what can I fill my time up with that's going to nourish this hermit phase, like that's going to nourish me during this time where I'm turning inward. What feels good for showing up? So there's a couple days where I would post just a couple stories on my Instagram, kind of show up for my business that way. I obviously showed up for my clients because like I'm always going to show up for my clients, and it feels good too. But other than that, I was like, okay, well, like, what am I going to do to make sure that I come out of the other side of this with something, like with a new perspective on something, with a piece of growth, with some momentum built, with, some a big release. And so I really focused on, you know, getting back into solidifying some of my like health and wellness routines. So I like got back into having like a really good skincare routine again, and just taking the week to really like build that up and feel good about it, and getting some movement in, and getting back to making sure I'm getting enough protein in, because that's always been a really big goal for me, is like making sure that I'm eating enough protein. And yeah, just kind of getting into those wellness routines and taking some time to meditate and to catch up on programs that I'm in and I signed up for, because sometimes I can get behind with those things if I have other priorities going on for my business and my personal life and things. And so I really just took the time to catch up on those things and to educate myself and to turn inward and create space for myself to meditate, to journal, to do some rituals, to do some releasing work, breath work, dance, like anything that I intuitively felt drawn to. And I'm really, really glad I did, because there was a part of me in the beginning of the week that did feel like, oh my gosh, maybe this is from a pattern. I better just like suck it up kind of thing. I better just suck it up, keep showing up the way I normally have, like keep posting on my Instagram every day, keep showing up in stories, keep selling every day, like all this stuff, especially for my business. But I was like, no, like I'm going to honor this if this is what is needed. And I'm really glad I did, because I did come out of this week feeling like I had major release. Like I had some major cries, some major energy being released, which feels so, so good now. It felt so good to release. And I had some time to do some like rituals and manifestation things that I've been wanting to do and I've kind of been putting off a little bit. I had some time to clean up the back end of my business. I've been making some changes and splitting my membership into 2 tiers. And so I had to update the sales page for that and everything. And so there's just some little things like that I had been kind of putting off. And it was nice to kind of clean those up. And now everything's ready to go for the membership and for the next round of Mirror Mirror. And I'll link the membership down below as well, as per usual, because I have recently split it into 2 tiers now. I felt like there were some people who are looking for like a really accessible, like financially accessible way to receive consistent healing and consistent support. So I wanted to create that, because I know the membership does have a high touch support element to it with the weekly Q&A. And I know that, that's not for everyone. So and now you can join the membership with just a monthly energy healing, which gives you, a monthly healing call, which you can attend live or watch the replay. And it's just as potent. It's like, you can ask any of my clients, like when you watch an energy healing replay, it's just as powerful. You still receive the same benefits. And you can join that, where you get that. We do channeling in that call. I do channeled messages always, sometimes a card pull. We do meditation, energy healing, and there's always Q&A time at the end. So you can always come to those calls every month with a question about your personal life or your spiritual growth or whatever it is, and receive personalized support. So even with this new tier, this tier 1, where it's just the energy healing call and it's not the weekly Q&A, there's still a monthly Q&A opportunity. So there's still an opportunity for you to receive that support. So if you are interested in that, I will have that linked below as well, where you can kind of browse and see the difference between tier 1 and tier 2, and see like the different pricing options and everything as well. So you can join for as low as $22 a month, which I'm so excited about, because I just wanted it to be so accessible. So anyways, I did all kinds of stuff, cleaning up behind the scenes, and it just feels so good. Now it's Saturday, and I intend to kind of get back into the swing of things next week. And by the time this podcast airs, I'll be like, in the middle of the week. And it just feels so good to have this time, because through this and just so much wisdom poured through, and just around, my business, my life, like some routines I've been implementing. I have been getting serious about like an area of my health again, and reaching out for support with that. And so I had some time to really focus on that and make, my plan. And like I have some things I had to order to support myself with that. And yeah, it just felt really good. And now I feel like I just have so much clarity, and that really just solidifies for me the power of, honoring our energy in general, but specifically for me as a 6'2" in human design. It's like I need that hermit time. And like I said, sometimes it's like a week where I really need to dive deep, but usually like this hermit time can also just be a day. Like sometimes that's just my weekends, but it was really nice to take the week to just to catch up with myself. So anyway, that is pretty much all I wanted to share in this episode. I feel like there wasn't really like any teaching here, but I also know that there's a lot of power in sharing my own story and sharing my own experience. So I hope there was something here for you that really resonated and really landed for you. And yeah, I just love to share with you guys like what's going on behind the scenes in my life. And I know that if you're anything like me, like I'm so nosy and I love to know what people are up to behind the scenes. So I like to share as well, and just be really open about my own journey and my own experience and how I navigate, the different times. And yeah, the times where some people might feel it's a little bit more like, dark or something like that. But just knowing that like there's always light on the other end, right? And not that this week was like super dark or anything for me, but there was a lot of inner work that was wanting to be done. So yeah, I hope that this resonates with you, and there's a piece of it here for you. So thank you so much for tuning in and for listening to my story and for being here. And as always, like if you have anything to share, anything any questions or anything like that, then just send me a message on Instagram. I'm always there to chat. I'm always there to just, make connections and build community with you guys. So thank you again so much for being here, and I will catch you on the next one.